This is Boxes and Briefs, a podcast with real-life business stories. But we will be asking the hard questions and challenging traditions. So broaden your thinking with fresh perspectives and solve problems for business success. Welcome to another episode of Boxes and Briefs. My name's Lisa.
I'm Kelly.
And today we have with us Loren Tomlinson.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you both so much for having me. This is exciting.
Excellent. Now, for our listeners, Loren is the founder and director of the Social Collective. It's a boutique marketing consultancy. So we're going to get the lowdown. Loren helps businesses elevate their digital presence through holistic, results-driven strategies. You got to pay for what you get. She's passionate about empowering female-driven businesses to grow confidently in the online space. Why female specific?
There's just something about working with female business owners that I have always just felt naturally drawn to.
Okay.
I overheard a statistic a couple of weeks ago which just completely solidified everything for me, that about 31% of New Zealand's population with the businesses are run by females. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, I would love to see that a little bit more evened out. But I think there's just something in really driven female business owners that is just completely unmatched. And if I can support a few more of those women in this world,
I love it.
I feel like I'd have done my job.
Yep. Go the girls. All right. Tell us the Social Collective story. How did it come to be? What journey did it take?
So the Social Collective, to be honest, started by accident. It was through a series of the typical uni journey, going into corporate. I realized very early on that corporate was just not for me. It wasn't the space I wanted to be in. I wanted to try something different. So I left working in my corporate job very shortly after graduating from university, and I went and freelanced and ended up picking up just a series of very random jobs. I was a personal assistant for a minute. I worked in social media. I worked in all different types of sort of digital marketing spaces.
Okay.
And that was all going absolutely fantastically. And I really loved it. I think at one point I was working for about 6 companies at one point, which was a little bit more than I should have been handling. But
Talk
then
about females multitasking.
I think it was such a great training ground for everything that I have brought into the Social Collective. But then COVID happened, and a lot of the work that I was doing at the time was working for different marketing agencies that worked with caterers or chefs or people in the wedding industry. That was a really big one for us, was working in the wedding space. And obviously, naturally, all of that shut down. And so my bosses found themselves out of work, and naturally, as a contractor / freelancer, your head's on the chopping block. So I realized it was time to see if there was anything I could do on my own. And luckily I had a few people that had noticed the work that I was doing in the freelancing space, and they reached out to me and said, hey, would you be interested in coming on board and working with us? And I thought, why not? And so I slowly just grew things from there, spent about sort of 6 months doing a little bit of just working for whoever, whenever, however, really trying to figure out how do I create some structure in this business, because obviously going out on your own for the first time is quite daunting. You've absolutely no idea how to formulate contracts and all of those things. And then the next step from there was obviously very unfortunate circumstances, but I feel very lucky that the funding that came about when we went into all of the COVID lockdowns, the regional business partner funding, that was a really huge jumping point for me. And I was able to do a lot of work with some amazing small businesses around the country, and ended up with sort of enough of a safety net to be able to stop doing any last little freelancing jobs and take that leap to go full time. And then I just decided, you know what, we've done it. We've stepped in full time. There's no looking back. And that was about 3.5 years ago. And here we are today.
What is it that you look like today? How big is the Social Collective?
So today is myself, and I have 2 of my core staff members. I have a full-time employee, and then we have a part-time contractor who's down in Dunedin. So Sarah is our ads manager. She's down in Dunedin. And then Tess is our graphic designer and social media account manager, and she's up here in Auckland with me. I tell people she's basically my second half these days. And then we've got what we now call the Collective, which is basically a crew of amazing business owners, contractors, freelancers that are around us that if we don't offer the services in-house, we have a crew that work hand in hand with us to make it happen. So we've got other graphic designers, we've got photographers, videographers, content creators. So we're really becoming this hub, or the Social Collective is becoming this hub that if you need some kind of marketing support, no matter what it is, we should be able to offer it. And if we can't, we can point you in the right direction with some amazing people that we know.
That's so excellent. It's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Just get in touch. Okay, can you share a moment when you felt like, as an entrepreneur, you'd made it?
Ooh, that is a really good question. I think, to be honest, the day that I took that jump, going from part-time, sort of almost full-time, but definitely still kind of like one foot in the door, one foot was still like, oh, I'll use freelancing as my backstop. And then really stepping in and going, this is what I'm doing. I think, if I'm not wrong, that day that I made the decision was also the day that I registered TSC as a company. And so that to me was the big moment of, okay, this is a legitimate business. And I've really done it. Yeah.
Okay, what was your first big win?
Ooh.
You've registered, you've got both feet through the door now. What was the first big one?
I think one of the biggest wins that I am really proud of is actually signing our first PR client.
Okay.
It was something where it just was the first time in business I'd had something just come up through such a natural conversation. It was an amazing businesswoman who I'm still very good friends with to this day, and we were able to achieve some amazing things in the PR space for her. But it was all of these things that I'd worked so hard on in my uni career, in my previous freelancing sort of lives, and I pulled together in one conversation. We met at a networking event and she said, oh, what do you do? I explained a little bit about what I did and she said, would you manage my PR for me? And I thought, this is the first time I've sat face to face with someone who has just looked at me and had full confidence that the business that I have created is what is going to support her through her next steps of her business journey. And to me, it was just the most natural conversation. There was no selling involved. And literally the next day she signed a contract and we had a year-long working relationship, and to this day still have a really great personal relationship.
Yay!
Yeah.
It's such a good one when you get that buzz.
Yeah.
Especially because when it's helping someone, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it was just such a cool opportunity to share someone's amazing business story.
Yeah.
And I think it's really encouraged me over the last, because it's been almost a year since we wrapped up working together professionally, but since then we've done a lot of work together. Sort of, she's done some work for me, we've kept in touch over time, but it was such a great opportunity for me to look at it and go, okay, how can I do this for myself moving forward? And now that's something that's becoming the next part of our strategy is, okay, how can I get more of the message out about who I am, where I've come from, what does TSC offer the world, because I'm really proud of where we're going.
Strategy.
Exactly. And I think had that whole conversation and that realm of my business never opened up, I don't think that I would be looking at things the same way that I do now.
Yeah, so every step in the journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then on the flip side, what was the first big setback? What was the thing when you went, shit, do I really know what I'm doing?
To be honest, I think it was realizing that I'm a boss. and I've had contractors since pretty much the day that I decided to turn TSC into a company, because I've had more work than I was able to handle myself. And I guess I looked at it from one sense and thought I could manage all of this on my own, but if I do, I run out of time to spend looking at the business and working on the business rather than just being in it constantly. But it really wasn't until I hired my first employee, which was October last year. So literally in a month from now, it will be her 1 year anniversary. So
it's scary, right?
It's very scary.
You are suddenly responsible for somebody else's income, livelihood, lifestyle.
Yeah.
So what made you do the jump?
I realized that I needed to have people in my business that were going to grow with me. And also I really wanted someone on the team that I could know that if things like this were to come up, I was sort of looking with my future lens, I guess, that if things like this were to come up, or I had to travel for work, or clients needed me to come see them for the day, I don't then have to go, oh, all that weight is on me. I have to to deal with everything. I have to be the one to still go home tonight and do all of my admin and keep things going.
Yep.
And then also I could see the workload growing, and I thought, if I'm going to try to do this all myself, yes, I could be one of those entrepreneurs that's like super proud of the fact that I wake up at 4 a.m. and I go to bed at like midnight, but that's just not what I want to do. That's not why I got into this business. And honestly, it's been the most challenging process, recognizing that there's a lot of the execution that I don't always get to do anymore. I'm still definitely the strategist in the business, and I oversee everything, and everything we do for our clients is most of the time strategically crafted by me with the support of my team. But the execution component is something that I've had to really let go of and know that it's okay. And I have created an amazing team around me that can help keep all of this running. So that's been, I think, a really big challenge. And funnily enough, the client that I said was my biggest win, we had a really great conversation about that. And she said to me, Loren, I've realized that I'm not the one that does all the doing anymore. I've had to step into this project management role. And when we had that conversation, I thought, yeah, that's where I'm at now, is the project manager and the one that looks at the business. Because if I'm not doing it, nobody is. My team's not looking at where the future of the business is, because that's not their job. Their job is to support our clients, and then my job is to support them to support the clients. But it didn't make it any less easy.
No, it's still a scary job.
Yeah.
So what about unexpected challenges? Like, you can listen to all the podcasts in the world for how to overcome different obstacles, but what was your surprise?
The way that I receive criticism, I think, and feedback from clients, because I've realized over the time of running this business that there is a difference between me and the social collective. And not that it's necessarily criticism, but every single person looks at their business in a different light, and the way that I look at someone's business might be different to the way that they look at theirs. And just learning to manage expectations and have those tough conversations with clients. And sometimes it is a matter of sitting them down and going, hey, like, if it's a coaching client, it's going, hey, are you actually putting in 110% here? Like, are we really trying, or are we just looking for me to come to the rescue with all of these answers for the problems that you have? Or if it's a implementation client, is it going, hey, we need more comms from you. I need to know. There's so many businesses out there that think that when you pay a marketing agency that you become psychic, and that all of a sudden you just know exactly what they're thinking.
It's true. I mean, the thing with constructive criticism, though, is it's so easy to point out a problem or to pull something apart because you don't like it, or it's not good enough, or whatever. The harder part is coming up with a solution to a problem, or coming up with a fix that will help that make look better, right? And it's just so easy to put the shoes on of negative Nelly and pull something apart. When you're a business owner, and especially in marketing, you really own and value what you're doing. You can see it, but not every business owner can see it. So then how do you separate when you get that kind of feedback from yourself versus the work? How do you not take it personally?
It's still something I'm working on to this day. That, I think, has been the toughest thing that I've found in business, is to recognize, especially because this business was born out of my passion for supporting other businesses in marketing, and my passion for really helping see, especially all of these small businesses, recognize that they can also achieve the same things that bigger businesses are achieving. And so it's come from such a passion of mine that the business really became another reflection of me, so much so that in my professional and personal life, I'm always seen in business colours. I'm always walking around in something brown, because my business is me. But I did have my business coach about a year ago sit me down and say, Loren, we need to figure out who the you is outside of business. And she said, who is that person? Who is that Loren outside of business? And I sat there and went, whoa, I have no idea. I said,
so you were wrapping your identity up in the business
completely, and
but that's only one part of you, right?
Exactly. And so that's been, I guess, like my personal journey this year has been figuring out who is Loren outside of the social collective, and what does she look like. And the more that I've been able to pull those pieces together and kind of put together the puzzle of who I am, the better boss it's made me, the better partner it's made me in my personal life, the better human I feel like I'm becoming.
It's awesome.
So, it's taken a challenge And I'm very grateful for the business support that I've had too, because I think without my coaches, I wouldn't have recognized all of that.
Yeah.
But it has taken that challenging moment and turned it into something that I'm aware is still an ongoing thing. And I don't think that the imposter syndrome stuff will ever go away, but it's something that my eyes are now open to. And it's kind of a fun little challenge to figure out who is Loren outside of work hours.
Love it. It's because your passion can be all consuming.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously you're doing something right because you're a finalist in the David Awards.
Yes.
And I saw you at the Girls in Business Awards, finalist there as well.
Yes.
What do you think makes you different from your competitors?
I think one of the things that makes me different is, and this could be a little bit controversial in my competitors' eyes, but I'm really genuine. And I think
really genuine, not just genuine.
Really genuine.
Really genuine.
The Loren that you guys are seeing on this podcast, the Loren that is on my podcast, the Loren that shows up on social media or that comes to a client call is exactly the person that you would get in my personal life. And I think when I meet people that have met me online and then have met me in person, the biggest compliment that anyone could ever give me is, wow, you were just like who I expected you to be, or you are just like who I saw online. And I think that I've met many people in my industry over time, and especially those who play really heavily in the social media space. I think there's a very interesting line between those who want to influence versus those who want to support others. And I think those two things can be true at the same time.
They can be, yeah.
But I personally have no desire to be in that influency space, and mad kudos to the people that do, because we were even talking before we started recording this podcast of how hard I find it to even record a video of what I'm doing in my day, because that takes a whole nother part of your brain to think about that stuff. But I also think that there's such a stigma wrapped up with people that hang out in the social space that it is quite hard to kind of break away from that. But yeah, I think knowing that the Loren that you see online is the Loren that you get in person is huge. And I think that anyone that comes and speaks to me can see just how much I love what I do. Like there are times when I absolutely hate social media for the algorithm changes and the software updates and when clients' accounts get removed or disconnected. And sometimes I do want to have my phone at a wall, but all in all, I really love what I do, and I love the journey that I can take my clients on. So yeah, I think that makes my approach to marketing quite unique, is just through my personal lens.
Yeah. Did being genuine always just come naturally for you? Because I know sometimes people, like when they put themselves in front of a camera or they're talking to a client, they feel the need to put on like kind of like a professional face or a different face that's maybe still part of them. But did that like being genuine on camera with your clients just come naturally to you, or was it something you kind of just built up over time?
I think it's both. I think I grew up with my family telling me that I was an Energizer Bunny. That was sort of my nickname in the family. I was always the one that would bring the energy to the rooms that we walked into. But I'm also madly grateful to my parents, because I was a theatre kid growing up, and they allowed me to go do all of the theatre productions I wanted to audition for and be part of. They put me in screen acting classes because I thought that I wanted to be on Shortland Street. That dream has now changed, but
have you done it though? Have you been an extra? Tick
no,
the box.
I
you
have
should
not.
try and be an extra.
I know. I did say to my partner the other night, we were watching Celebrity Treasure Island, and Shortland Street's obviously on just before, and I said, should I go on that show? He's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe that's not for you. He's like, I don't know if I could see you in scrubs being a doctor. But I think that all of that stuff was it was all extracurricular stuff that I did outside of sort of school hours and everything like that. But it was just such a big passion of mine. And I think growing up, I tried to figure out, I think through that uni process, when everyone goes, okay, what am I doing? What does my life look like?
Yep.
I had that decision to make kind of coming out of year 13 was, do I go to drama school or do I go to uni and study business? And I just had some weird gut feeling that there would be something that would come later in life that would utilize all of those skills. And I think that's been why I love what I do so much, is because I've been able to combine both worlds that I love so much, which I think then feeds into
you're just on the journey
excitement.
and happy to share it with everybody else.
So happy. Yeah. Any knowledge that I have, any information that I gain on the way, I'm just such an open book that I don't believe it deserves to just hang out in my brain. I think it deserves to be heard by the world, because there's so many other businesses and people that can learn from it and can grow and can be better people, better business owners. So who am I to gatekeep?
That's where the best business comes, when you're so open and sharing. You just want other people to learn with you.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
and you just all grow together. That's going to be the best business for everyone.
Yeah.
I think.
Exactly. Everyone's just a lot happier. There's no feeling like it's
Yeah.
icky or you have to pay $59 to unlock the next course that I've got coming up. It's no, just go listen to my podcast and I'll probably overwhelm you with how much information I share. But it's a great way, I think, and which is why I'm such a fan of podcasts. I think it's such a great way and such a great tool that we have where people can get to know who we are before they've even reached out to do business with you. So I think the clients that I have now post launching the podcast earlier this year are so much more aligned than clients of ours have ever been, because they get such a good feel for who I am, the passion that I have, what we want to be doing with businesses, and then they reach out and say that's the girl and her team that I want to work with, which to me is very flattering.
Perfect.
Boxes and Briefs is proudly brought to you by Gilligan Shepherd, the problem solvers in business.
All right, Loren, many entrepreneurs talk about the emotional roller coaster, that whole going through bad things, then good things, then trying to pick yourself up again. What strategies have you developed to maintain staying sane?
It's probably the most generic one that everybody says, but
Going to the gym?
Yeah. I've just come from there this morning. But I have a trainer that I work out with because I absolutely love her. And again, she's very similar to me in the sense that what you see online is what you get in person. And she's just someone that I took some advice from somebody a while back and could not tell you who told me it. But they were talking about the concept of outsourcing the things that you find tricky.
Yeah.
And actually thinking about what I have to do if I go to the gym is something that I do find really hard. I find it takes thoughts that I would rather just dedicate to work. And so a couple of mornings a week, I'll get up and I'll drive half an hour to her house because I live out in the Wop Wop, so everything is a minimum 30-minute drive for me. But I'll go work out at her house with her and then continue the rest of my day.
Yep.
And it honestly, I've been with her about 6 months now, working with this particular trainer. I have never felt fitter and never felt mentally as strong as I do right now. And that has changed everything. But also the other thing that I've incorporated into my day, which was advice of my trainer and my business coach, is doing daily walks. And at first, my business coach threw the idea out because it's something she does. And I thought, I don't have time for that. I don't know when I'm going to fit it in. And I've learned through, I think, just osmosis, one of her techniques that she does, which is a walk and talk. And so she will message us like on Voxer or WhatsApp or wherever the platforms are that she's using. She will do that with her team. She'll do that with her clients. She'll do that when she's like messaging for stuff for herself. And I've learned that that's a really great way that I can get my steps in every day. I can either listen to a really great podcast to inspire me, or I can smash out a bit of work while I'm getting in some steps. And recognizing that I had to kind of trick myself. I could still walk while I was working. I've managed to actually trick myself into really loving it. And so now just doing little things like that. But I also, on the side, I do breath work. I'm really into journaling. I used to teach mindful journaling classes. All of those kinds of things. And also therapy is such a good tool. I absolutely love my therapist. I see her like on and off and have for the last few years. And I think whether it's a business coach, a personal coach, a life coach, a therapist, having somebody that's outside of all of the people in your like inner circle, so family, friends, partners, everything. I think having that external person to also talk to about sometimes just the rubbish that's going on and just how you feel, and just having that time to process what's going on. I've found that it's made me a lot more aware and conscious of the thoughts that I have. And I used to be a person that was very, very self-deprecating. And there are still those thoughts, but I'm a lot more consciously aware of them now. And so they impact me a heck of a lot less.
Yeah.
So when there's days when I'm feeling down, I'm like, okay, I have all of these different tools in my toolbox. I will never do everything in one day because I'm just not that person. I'm not a 75 hard kind of person or like a big Ironman triathlon kind of gal. But I will look in my toolbox and go, what is one thing that I could do for myself today that puts me before everything else?
Yeah.
Because if I can't show up for me, I think I've realized, particularly with being a boss, I can't show up for my team if I'm not putting myself first. And nobody wants to work for me if I'm a rubbish leader.
Good point. Something that comes with resilience is that, when you hit an obstacle or face a challenge, there are the people who haven't built up the resilience, and they just go, this is too hard, I'm going to get a new career, change my job, quit my business.
Yeah.
Where was there a situation where you had to pivot? Because you obviously haven't stopped.
Yes.
So you've done something to keep going. What was it?
It's actually a really recent one.
Okay.
And it was earlier this year. Honestly, not that much earlier. It was about June of this year. And I realised that with the way the economy was going in New Zealand and the way that people were looking at marketing, I think as a lot of people know, is usually one of the first things on the chopping block when times get tough for businesses, which despite the fact that I think it should be the one thing that really, really sticks, it is usually the thing. And I completely understand. It's one of the easiest things to go. But I realised that we were working with really awesome businesses and doing amazing things, but nothing was lighting me up. And nothing we were doing was enjoyable to me. And I just felt like we're 3 years into this business. Things should be running really smoothly at this point. I've kind of got over the hump of getting into the third year. I should be feeling really excited and I should be feeling super inspired, and I was just not. And I think through just the energies, I think my team could pick up on that too. And I noticed that slowly but surely everyone in my team and those surrounding us as well, their lights were just starting to dim a little bit. And I was just I remember looking at my team one day and thinking, this is not what I got into business for. I didn't get into business just to do every single thing that anyone else could do. I didn't get into business just to make money. Yes, obviously money is amazing and I love money. But I'm not even going to lie and say I don't. Yeah. Money is what keeps things going.
Yep.
But I really wanted to get into this to help people. And I realized that the people that we were working with at the time were just not people that I really wanted to totally back and get behind and support and cheerlead, because they weren't excited for it either. And totally fine, because it was really terrible financial times. But I realized something had to change, and I did a very drastic thing, which I really wouldn't recommend a lot of businesses do. I pivoted my entire business. And in July, I put pause on the services that we were trying to promote. So that was ongoing management and also coaching with me, which is something I still do, but I knew that that was something that I needed to just pause for my own energy's sake. And I launched these brand new things that I'm yet to see somebody that's doing the same thing as what we're doing in New Zealand and internationally. But I offered these 3 starter kits, and we created a social media, an advertising, and an email marketing starter kit. And they are basically designed to be one-off foundational setups where we set up the foundations for businesses to then take this and run their own marketing. And I had a lot of people look at me sideways going, why would you set up all of these one-off services? Like, why would you make yourself somewhere where people can come in once and then leave? But I saw this entire community of small businesses that was just being totally overlooked. And so I threw up a post one day. Contrary to what people believe, I did not plan this out properly behind the scenes. I thought, this is an idea. It came up in conversation with my team one day. I threw it out there on social media, and I had 6 people book in on the first day, because they just, without any prior promo, just instantly 6 purchases through the website. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe we're onto something. And since then, the day that we're recording this podcast today, we're actually launching our second lot of kits, which is content kits. So they're designed for businesses to pick and choose what they need, but it's all agency level marketing support, but on their terms. You don't have to lock into long-term contracts if you don't want to. You don't have to stick around and pay big bucks. Because I think that's a big point where businesses go, oh, I don't know if I've got that money, or oh, I don't know if I've got it in the long run. And through just leaning into something that I felt was so right, we still support our bigger clients for ongoing, but I don't want to suck the money out of the small businesses in New Zealand and internationally. And since then, my sparks come back, my team sparks come back. We've got so many epic plans from obviously today's launch, and then we've got a new launch coming in February for something even more epic. But
now you're all planned.
I'm so planned, and all the thoughts and all the ideas have come back. And I really thought maybe my business is going to go into the ground. And if I don't do something, it's not going to continue. And I'm going to have to just either slog away working with are the clients that are just not lighting my fire and hoping that I can sell my soul and make some money, or I can give it a go and try something different. And honestly, doing the different thing in this case has absolutely paid off.
Love it.
Yeah.
So then you've done 3.5 years now
Yes.
in business. It's in the grand scheme, it's still a baby business.
Still totally tiny.
But what is your piece of advice to anybody starting, same amount as you or even further on than you? What's the advice, the reminder?
Just lean into what lights you up. And I think more than any kind of business advice that I would give anybody, if it's not lighting you up, you don't have to do it. There are, I think, a lot of business owners that hold on to something that is slowly dying and slowly burning out because they think, oh, but I told people I would do this and I said I was going to do that. When
That's
I look
often
at,
when procrastination comes in, right?
Yeah.
You get a job, they sign a contract, you're all excited about it, and you just don't want to do it.
yeah. And I've done that in the past where I've wrapped up contracts early because I've realized we are just not aligned, and that's just life. I've come to realize it's not them, it's not me, it's just we are not a match, and that's okay.
Yep. Okay. So go with what lights you up.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Looking ahead, what's your vision for the future that keeps you excited and motivated in your own business?
Oh.
Like maybe you can't tell us what's happening in February, but what are you looking at?
All of the small businesses that we are just totally going to change things for. And I have no doubt at all that that's what we're going to do. We have the kits that are designed to support these businesses to get started. And then we've got things coming next year that means that they can continue to get that same support, but in a longer term format. But it is all, I've just completely pivoted the business to go back to the people that I grew my community with, the people that, to be honest, I realized pivoting my business years ago and moving towards the bigger corporate clients and those businesses, they are none of the people that have ever followed my journey on social media. But all of these small businesses have followed me over the years. Their friends have followed me. Their family members have followed me. They're seeing what I'm creating. And so the minute that we pivoted back, it's like all of a sudden they realized, oh my gosh, she's speaking to me again. With all of like the content marketing and everything, they've realized I'm talking directly to them. And it's just made me realize these are my people. These are the people I want to support. There are thousands of small businesses in New Zealand and internationally that I'm so excited just to give them the tools so that they can show up and really advocate for their own businesses.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a community where it's so overlooked. And
Definitely. It's a community where agencies go, oh, you don't have enough money, we don't want you.
exactly.
It's also a community where I'm an entrepreneur, I'm just starting out, I haven't got the money to spend, but at the moment I can put time into it.
Yeah.
And you're filling that gap of, well, put your time into it, but if you do it this way, you won't waste your time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Setting them up for success.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of fun for me because there's no competition when it comes to like the other people that we're competing with. There are other amazing marketing agencies that I know skills wise I will never be able to compete with. And so why would I? But instead I'm honing in on the skills that I have and my team have and the passion that we have for what we do.
Yeah.
And we're just starting something totally new. And I think that has just totally lit my fire back again.
Love it.
And I'm just so excited to see how many more businesses we can support in New Zealand and internationally.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, if our listeners want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
So the best way to find me is Instagram is usually where I hang out. We are at the social collective _NZ because some cheeky person already got the social collective before I started the business.
The cheek.
You can also find me personally on LinkedIn, and I guess the best way for them is to check the show notes for my spelling.
Yes.
But I'm on LinkedIn a lot. So Instagram and LinkedIn are my two biggest places. But there's also my podcast, which is Coffees and Content.
Yes.
It's a bite-sized social media podcast where I basically share this and so much more every week. No gatekeeping, no secrets. It's if you want to learn how to market your business, whether you are just starting or you've been in this for a long time and you just want to revamp, that is the place to go. And we've got episodes out every Wednesday morning. So it's designed for you to drink your morning coffee as you're on your way to work. So Coffees and Content.
Yeah, walk and talk.
Exactly.
Clever. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I've had a blast.
Boxes and Briefs is proudly brought to you by Gilligan Shepherd, the problem solvers in business.